Fat Guys on the Road presents Greatest Combinations in History. Peanut butter and jelly, milk and cookies, bacon and eggs, Penn and Teller, Eddie Van Halen and Michael Jackson. It's true, 1984, beat it, look it up. Great things can happen when different sports collide. This happened in 1971 in the Houston Astrodome, which was home to the NFL's Houston Oilers and Major League Baseball's Houston Astros. This was the first time that the Final Four was held in an NFL stadium.
That combination's pretty unstoppable.
It must be because the Final Four has been played in several NFL stadiums since then with great success. Speaking of the Astrodome, it was one of several stadiums throughout the country that was home to both a baseball and a football team. There was Candlestick Park in San Francisco, California. There was Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. There was what was once called Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, California, just to name a few. For several years now, Yankee Stadium has been hosting the Pinstripe Bowl. It's not one of the bigger bowls, but I have to admit I'd really like to see it in person just for the novelty of it. College football has also been played at Wrigley Field in Chicago, as Northwestern University has played several quote-unquote home games there. Not to be outdone, the NHL started their stadium series in 2014 in Dodger Stadium. I actually think they started this earlier than that in Canada though. Over the years they've used several different stadiums, even a NASCAR track I think. Speaking of NASCAR, on September 10th, 2016, the Battle at Bristol took place. This was a college football game between the Tennessee Volunteers and the Virginia Tech Hokies at Bristol Motor Speedway. With 156,990 people at the Speedway that night, this game holds the record for attendance at a college football game. Things like this must have inspired the folks up in Nebraska, who have a tremendous women's volleyball program and a big, beautiful football stadium.
Here's a crazy idea.
On August 30th, Nebraska Volleyball set a world record for attendance at a women's sporting event with 92,003 people packing into Memorial Stadium to watch the Cornhuskers. That is awesome. Their neighbors over in Iowa are very proud of their women's basketball program, so they followed the Big Red's lead. On October 15th, the Hawkeyes set an attendance record for a women's basketball game with their crossover in Kinnick. Way to go, Iowa! No women's sports program has seen more success or fan support recently than Oklahoma Sooner softball. We saw what was going on up in the cornfields and we all said, wait a minute. But how would you put a softball field inside the Palace on the Prairie? Is it even possible? It's one thing to put a volleyball court or a basketball court in a football stadium, but a softball field is quite a bit bigger. The total length of a football field including the end zones is 120 yards, or 360 feet, which is plenty of room for a softball field. The problem is with the width of the field. From sideline to sideline, a football field is 53.5 yards wide, or 160.5 feet wide. There's roughly 10 yards between the sideline and the wall of the Palace on the Prairie. That's an additional 30 feet for the outfield. So the softball field would almost fit. However, you have to allow for extra space between the baselines and the walls. So the baselines have to be further inside the field than the back of the end zone and the sideline. So how do you make up for the lack of room in left field?
I got a plan.
Here you can see the dimensions of Globe Life Field, home of the Texas Rangers. As you can see, it looks normal, plenty of room all around. But here we see something kind of odd in Boston's Fenway Park. I'm not sure why they had to make left field so short way back when, but here we are. So how do they make up for the lack of space? If you look at the giant American flag, you'll see that it is hanging off of what is lovingly referred to as the Green Monster. To hit a home run in left field, you have to clear that big rascal. If you do that, the ball will travel roughly the same distance it would travel for a home run in right field. That is the solution for playing a softball game on Owen Field. There is still a problem though. Who wants the seats behind the wall? You're not going to see anything like that. Did you see that? Instead of a wall, they could just put up a net that's the right height to compensate for the distance. So you clear that net and you've got yourself a homer. So how about it, Sooner Nation? Let's make this happen.